I'll start with the Do No Harm demo. So as part of my goal of, well, some of my gaming goals for this year that we
Oh
we
yeah, we
set at the
did make
beginning of the
those,
year.
didn't we?
Yeah, I've made no progress.
I have achieved my wingspan goal. I've now played two 120 point plus games, so that's pretty
Wow.
exciting. I know. The last one, I did not think it was going to get there. So obviously, I'm still playing wingspan, but one of my goals was to try and like play more AAA titles, and so I was looking on Steam, thinking maybe if it's on like my PC, it'll be easier to hop in. I can have something going on my second monitor, like all that goodness. And so I picked up Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and then Tavern Manager Simulator was on sale, and that's one that's been on my wish list for a minute because it's a game I enjoy, and I'll talk about that later. But then another thing that was recommended to me was the Do No Harm demo, which is very much more my speed. Before this, if I'd been on the last neighborhood watch, the only like new game I could have talked about playing was Bio Inc. Redemption,
Hmm.
which is pretty similar in concept, very different in execution than this. But Do No Harm is a Lovecraftian, like 18th century doctor simulator.
So leeches.
So
Interesting.
yeah, I haven't unlocked leeches yet. I don't know if that happens later in the game or if that's in the demo at all. But you actually balance the humors. So it's first person. They walk in, like, there's the backstory of, oh, you're going to this remote town where the last doctor disappeared, but they're going to pay you a lot of money to do it.
Do you go to Arkham or Innsmouth? Or
Um,
Or Yarnum.
I,
it's yeah, it's always like one of
you're right,
those
one of those.
like
I want to say Innsmouth, but I've also been playing The Sinking City, so maybe I'm getting my wires crossed on that. But
mm-hmm.
Your tentacles
so it,
crossed.
yeah. So it's all in first person. They approach you, they've got something going on, and so you've got a little reference book to the side, like in most of these styles of games. And based on what they're complaining about, you have to either give them a dose of blood, phlegm, bile, or black bile.
You just like cough in their mouth. Like what are you how are you giving them phlegm?
So
Like
they're like jars laid out in front of you, and you draw up like a potion to like balance that
Mm.
thing. So like with all games, there's a progression. It gets more complicated. You can do multiple doses depending on what's going on. They'll have some sort of like boil or sore or something on them that like indicates how much you're supposed to dose them. And then depending on the condition and then information about them like their allergies or their gender, it can also tell you like, yeah, blood's not going to be very effective because it's a woman. So you can't give her a dose of blood. What else can you do to try and like correct this? And then at the end of each day, so far something like weird has happened because, you know,
Shocking.
Lovecraftian. So you either hallucinate or this woman shows up and she looks nothing like how she looks. I tried to, I was able to heal her the first time she showed up. The second time she showed up, nothing worked and she just died. And I feel like that's something that is forced to happen, or maybe I just wasn't, I couldn't find the solution for what was going on because it doesn't really hold your hand a lot in terms of like addressing it. There's the guidebook, and it's like if they're complaining of a headache, give them blood. If they're complaining of chills and sweats, give them black bile type thing. So she's so far the only patient I've lost. I've managed to address everybody else. It's not complicated or hard. There's no real timing or anything on it. It's just the faster you get through them, the more patients you can see, the more money you can make, the easier it is to stay stocked up on your humors. And then there's this like old lady that shows up that everybody else is like, oh, she's crazy, don't pay attention to her. And she rolls up and she's like, you've been seeing some weird shit, haven't you? And you go, yeah, I have. Somebody turned into a fly-headed person. She goes, yeah, well, drink some laudanum if you see that, and that'll make it better. And based on what I know about old medicine, that's probably not correct, but it's, that era, so you got to address it how you
Yeah,
can. And so
I was gonna
hardcore
say
opium-based
that's
drugs is apparently how we're coping, but
that is the go-to. I forget what it is in the Sinking
yeah.
City. It might be laudanum as well, but they're just like, here, take this heroin.
Yeah.
Like,
It will make it better. And then there are these little like jars that can help you diagnose certain things or like give you clues as to what to do. And at that point, Tavern Manager Simulator was done downloading, and the loop was kind of like, nah. So I went ahead and like closed it and moved on to Tavern Manager Simulator. But it's been interesting. I'll be curious. Like there's enough of a hook to see like what's going to develop. Curious how they're going to continue to develop the like medicine of the era. But yeah, now I just have 3 bottles of laudanum next to me and a weird little like totem. It's the word I was struggling to find. A little totem guy that'll like yell at me and be like, "Hey, some weird shit's about to walk in the door. Get ready to drink some laudanum." And then like a person with tentacles all behind him shows up and you take a swig and you're back to normal and continue to practice not great medicine. So I could see bloodletting becoming a thing later in the game or leeches or something along those lines, but so far it's just been mostly balancing the humors.
So this is a demo. When does the full game come out?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just like recommended to me, and so I pulled it up and played it.
But
But
it's a demo, not like early access.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you play
And
it
so
at
is-
Steam Next Fest, or is it just like a standalone demo, or do you know?
I think it's just a standalone demo. I don't recall seeing anything about Next Fest or anything on the
Gotcha.
info about it. I know it was recommended to Dylan too because I mentioned it to him.
Yeah,
Playing
anything that gets that Lovecraftian tag on Steam pretty much makes its way onto my like recommended page.
Yeah.
So,
Most simulation games make their way to mine. And
so
obviously like medical horror.
it looks as though it has released. Release date March 6th. So it does still have a demo, I believe.
So it just came out last week at the time
Yeah.
of recording this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe it was a part of Steam Next Fest and that's where the demo was. I don't know. So did you get the sense that it had like an overarching story, or was it more of like a like Diner Dash sort of thing where it's more about like progressing through the levels and getting more complicated that way? Or is it like,
There's
because
a
you mentioned
mystery
like
of some sort that
yeah,
you're trying
some
to
stuff
solve.
was starting to go on, and so like that becomes more of like a I'm trying to solve this or figure out what's going on situation.
I think it's mostly just for flavor. I think it's mostly just kind of like the shtick to kind of make them stand apart from other games of that genre because your character does keep a journal,
Mm-hmm.
but there's been no like overworld interaction. There's been no like there's nothing that happens outside of you being in your office treating people. Again, at least in the demo. Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
something that is in the full game a little more. Versus every day they've added something new to how I
Mm-hmm.
approach treating the patients. So I don't think they're going for longevity in terms of like the game experience
Mm-hmm.
because they're not having like, you're going to do this for like a week in game and then we'll add a new mechanic type thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then reading the journal entries, he's incredibly blasé about the heavy hallucinating that he's doing. So he's not really like freaking out about what's going on. He doesn't seem very curious about what's happening, so I feel the story will happen to you,
Yeah.
not really be something that like you actively engage with or try and investigate or we'll
Hmm.
have to choose to let somebody
Right.
die for some reason to investigate or something.
Right. But there was like a story piece to it outside of just this person walked in my door. I gave them some blood. They left. Yay.
Yeah, like there was some plot at the beginning, like, oh, I got this letter inviting me to this weird town because they need a doctor, and
Hmm.
it's kind of a backwater middle of nowhere, but they're offering me a lot of money, so I guess I better do it. And then the people that come in, there are like recurring people that show up.
Hmm.
Like the police officers at the beginning, and he's like, I'm gonna keep an eye on you and make sure you're not screwing up so much and killing all of our residents. And
Probably
then the
wise.
crazy lady who gave you the totem,
Hmm.
and I and then that girl that showed up twice and either was fated to die or I failed to save her on like that second day.
Hmm.
Like she's returned, and I think that was she was like the last patient of the day both times. Like it was a very deliberate thing
Hmm.
versus just like there's not a lot of character designs, so some of these people look kind of the same. Like there's some of that too, but there
Yeah.
are some like distinct characters that pop up every day and interact with you and talk to you. So,
Hmm.
but as far as I've gotten in the demo, there's not a lot of indication of what you can do to influence the town or the environment beyond, you know, helping
Okay.
them with their sneezes.
And is this one that you can see yourself getting more into or like picking up the full game at some point? Or is it going to have to be like, pretty steep discount for you to go back?
It'll probably have to be a pretty steep discount just with everything that's about to be going
Well,
on in my
yeah,
life.
fair.
Um, I think even under normal circumstances, there would be other things I would reach for first
Hmm.
that I would get through. I enjoyed what I played so far, but I don't think it reinvented the wheel or had like a really gripping
Hmm.
opening or concept. Like there was nothing about it that was like, yeah, this is the thing. But if I get an email that like, oh yeah, the full version of it's like $5, I'm like, yeah, I'll pick it up and again have a show going on the second monitor or something. Like it's a nice way
Yeah.
to kill some time. But
Cool.
there's not a speed hook. There's nothing that makes it really competitive or challenging. Like you have all the time in the world to research the symptoms. You have all the like beyond just attempting to make more money to re-up your
Hmm.
supplies, which even moving at a pretty measured pace, I'm accumulating plenty of money. So it's not really even that challenging.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's just like a chill game, but weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, the hook is probably
Basically.
the setting. Cool.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Very, very interesting. You definitely have not started that AAA push yet.
Yeah.
No, I have not I haven't started Assassin's Creed Odyssey either.